Hi, I'm Kelly Hogan. Welcome back to my Zero Carb Life. Our family is about to leave today to go on a trip out west. My husband planned it. I don't know exactly where we're going. I know Las Vegas, Grand Canyon for about 5 days. Quick trip. So I'm going to keep this a little bit short. At least I'm going to try. I have to say this though. Anytime I'm going to discuss calories and how much to eat, I feel like there are a few caveats I must present first. Number one, there are lots of carnivores, myself included, who had and have amazing results even if they do not track calories. So if you are currently eating carbs, sugar, standard American diet, processed foods, if you were to cut out that stuff and replace it with meat, eggs, maybe even some dairy, my guess is you would start feeling so much better and you would start losing weight and you could probably even eat more calories than you were eating on the standard American diet and get much better results for your health and for your weight. That is the most obvious and common answer. Just if you haven't tried that, oh, for heaven's sakes, try that. Then, once a person has been doing carnivore, let's say they've been doing it for 2 years. And let's say they've had some positive results, but now they're still overweight. And not just, I'd like to lose the last 10 vanity pounds. Like, no, legitimately, there are people who are still overweight and they would love to drop the last of those pounds. And they have given intuitive carnivore a really solid shot, but they're just not losing weight. I do at that point ask people, do you feel frustrated enough or ready enough to do a little tracking? The number one thing I'm going to ask them to do is just track what you're currently doing. In my groups, I refer to that as baselining. I didn't make that up. That's a dieting term to just determine where's your baseline. What are you doing now in order to, especially if someone is currently just, when they say stuck, that means, hey, you're maintaining. You're not gaining, you're not losing, you're staying the same. Obviously, everybody, we're humans, we're made of flesh. There will be bounces and ounces. But I mean, weekly averages, you're tending to stay within 1 to 2 pounds. You are maintaining. So let's find out, what are you doing to maintain? If you can't answer that question, then you certainly won't be able to answer the question of, are you a Maggie, a Violet, or an Una? You've never heard me say that before, right? A Maggie, a Violet, or an Una. And I'm going to help you today to figure out which one of those you are. So if you aren't familiar with how to baseline, how to track your food, I have a video that discusses exactly that, the benefit of figuring out your baseline and how to adjust from there. If you already have a ballpark idea of how many calories you're getting per day, or even what percentage of fat you are getting in your diet as a carnivore, I find that those are two very valuable pieces of information. What is your total fuel intake? As I said in my last video, you could call it fuel, call it your energy intake, call it just meat, food, or Bob. Call it what you want. But I'm here to tell you, if you're going to use a tracking app, they're going to call it calories. So that's the easiest thing for me to refer to. If that's highly offensive to you, just hear Bob every time I say calories. How many Bobs are you getting? When someone is getting great results and feeling good, I do not care how many calories they're getting, and neither do they, right? For years, I said, I don't even know how many calories I get, but it's 6 to 8 burger patties per day, depending on how hungry I am that day. True. 6 to 8 quarter pounders a day was what I did, depending on how hungry I was. I didn't calculate the calories each day. I sometimes added bacon grease. I sometimes didn't. And that worked really great. But if a client comes to me and says, well, that's not working. All right, let's figure it out. So today I'm going to tell you the story of 3 women. And hopefully by the end of this video, whether you're a man or a woman, you will determine which camp you fall under. When I work with my group members, we use my Zero Carb Life carnivore calculator, which is going to be a little different than most TDEEs. That's a total daily energy expenditure calculator. This one assumes that you are eating only animal products. The advice given is for if you're eating only animal products. And the amount of calories recommended is based on you're eating only animal products. But if you don't have access to this one, then feel free to use any other TDEE calculator out there. It'll hopefully give you a ballpark range of how many calories you need based on your age, size, gender, and activity level. In this story, there are 3 women, and all of them, what are the odds? All of them weigh exactly 148.2 pounds today. They're all 5'3", 55-year-old females, and they're taking a daily walk. So hopefully they're taking like that 15-minute walk after dinner. That's great. Or they're not walking every day, but they do work out 1 to 2 hours per week. Great. Once they've entered their information, they hit calculate. And then this TDEE is going to give just some stellar advice for one of these women. I can say that for 2 of these women, the advice given here below is not stellar advice. And the reason I can say that with great authority is this is my TDEE calculator, okay? So I can be critical when it's due, but I'm going to start with Maggie. Maggie, my maintainer at maintenance. Okay, so let me tell you about Maggie. When Maggie came to my TDEE and joined the group, she read the advice. Oh, we need to first, if you're having trouble, first of all, this is only if you're not feeling well, not getting positive results. So she decides, I'm going to use a tracking app like Carb Manager or any other free tracking app to determine what I'm currently doing. So she takes a week to just eat like she has been eating for the last 2 years. All of these women have been carnivore for a good while. They are not beginners, but they're all feeling stuck at this 148-ish pound range. And so Maggie uses Carb Manager to just determine what she's currently doing. She does not try to drop her calories, raise her calories. Don't change a thing, Maggie. You just do you this week, boo, and track it. So she does. At the end of the week, Maggie looks at her daily calories, which are staying around 1,700. She figures up her weekly average, 1,700. And she doesn't really know how to feel about that till she comes over to the TDEE. All she knows is, I'm not gaining, I'm not losing. I feel pretty good, and I'm eating 1,700 calories. So she comes over to the calculator and she goes, oh my gosh, well, Kelly Hogan is a genius. I mean, I know, right? Okay, so she finds out, well, no wonder I am maintaining. I am eating my maintenance calories. Wow. And my BMI is a little high. I know BMI is not a perfect judge, but to reach ideal body weight, apparently all I need to do is take off 200 to 300 calories off of what I'm doing. And if Maggie has been maintaining here, she is going to start losing weight. Another way she could do that is maybe drop calories by 100 and then start moving more. But a 200 to 300 calorie deficit off of where she was already maintaining based on her baseline, Maggie is going to start to lose weight. But there's something you need to know about this. There are very few Maggies that I work with. Most Maggies, Maggie the maintainers, have already figured this out. Oh, well, I can look at a TDEE calculator and see that I'm eating plenty of food. If I just do a slight cut, then I will lose weight. Wonderful. Most Maggies have not spent the last 3 decades eating less and less and less and less and less. Most Maggies came to carnivore. They were already eating pretty well. Now they're eating pretty well, but with meat, they're just eating their maintenance amount. So if they just were to eat a little bit less, then they will start to lose. I spent a good bit of time in my last video talking about why someone might eat more than their body needs, including the fact that food is readily available these days. Our leptin is often in the tank. If you don't know what that means, seriously, watch the last video. There are lots of reasons that people tend to overeat. Emotional reasons. We've been brought up thinking, the way we soothe ourselves is with food. We eat very quickly these days. We're stressed. We're busy. Our shutoff signals just aren't very strong. So when that is the case, it's very plausible that someone is eating their maintenance calories. But truly, the Maggies, if you're a Maggie, you are a rare little unicorn, and you are about to have the easiest weight loss of your life. Lady number 2 is Violet, the volume eater. So if you're taking notes, lady number 1 was Maggie, the maintainer. Lady number 2 is Violet, the volume eater. So she types in her info. Again, she has the exact same stats. She is taking the daily walks after dinner. She hits calculate, and this is the advice given on this brilliant TDEE. Okay, so Violet, you need to eat 1,700 calories, and if you want to lose weight, eat 1,400 to 1,500 calories. And then she's a very smart woman, so she goes to tip number 1, baselining. Before she makes any changes, first find out, please, all of you, before you make changes, find out, what are you currently doing? So my girl tracks her food for a week, maybe even longer, or it could be shorter if Violet's eating the same foods on repeat day after day, and she knows. After a Monday and a Tuesday, she's like, spoiler, that's what's going to happen Wednesday through Sunday also. But she tracks her food and finds out, I'm eating 2,500 calories. Well, not surprised, because usually Violet say to me, I'm not surprised because I've always had a big appetite. She figures up her weekly average. Yep, sticking to about 2,500. So she goes back to the TDEE. And the advice for her is not good advice. Because if she says, well, to reach my ideal body weight, I now need to eat 1,400 to 1,500 calories. Well, yes, dear Violet, you will likely lose weight. You are also going to be so hungry. And that 1,000-calorie cut is highly unnecessary. Don't do that. I'm guessing if she were to do that, she would be able to stick to 1,400 calories, and then it's going to end up on day 4 having a binge fest, and her sleep is going to be messed up. No one should cut 1,000 calories. When I come across a Violet, the volume eater, and they tell me that they are eating way more than maintenance, the most important thing I could ask is, how is that going for you? And occasionally, in fact, it just happened yesterday in my group, a lady said that she found that she was eating closer to 3,000. And I said, well, how has that been going for you? She said, I'm not losing. And I said, you have not been gaining, though. Not gaining. When that happens, oh, the heavens open. I'm like, oh, girl, that is so awesome. You are eating 3,000 or 2,500 in Violet's case, 2,500 calories a day of meat. And you are not gaining, but not losing. Maintaining, even though their maintenance calories report that it should be way below. I'm always so pumped when that happens. But also, that is not the moment when I say, so go to the TDEE and follow my great advice, because it's not. That is the point when I would say, okay, then let's do what I always consider to be, and research backs this up, a very safe and sustainable cut or calorie deficit is 10 to 15% off of what you are doing if you are either a Maggie, maintenance Maggie, eating her maintenance calories, or volume eater Violet, eating way more than maintenance, then a 10 to 15, maybe even 20% cut. Safe, sustainable, you're likely to not feel a large amount of hunger. If you do, you can make it just the 10%. You're still likely going to start losing, just a little slower. Slow is good. Slow and sustainable is very good. You're also less likely to hit a massive plateau because you dropped your calories so quickly that your body goes into like panic mode. I feel really good about Violet, the volume eater, eating 2,500 calories and maintaining, and then dropping that by 10 to 15% to lose weight. She could also do easier math, and it's typically, in most cases, very safe to also say, just take off 200 to 300 calories. The math, you don't even need a calculator. You don't have to carry the one. Just take off 200 to 300 calories if you are above your maintenance. And it shouldn't take you long. maybe not 2 days. Give it a little time. Keep your movement and exercise steady. So if she was walking before, keep walking. If you want to slightly increase your steps, I'm never going to argue with you, but take 200 to 300 calories off and your scale will start to go down with time. So that is another case where this is a no-brainer. This is good. But she, many, many times, my volume eaters and my maintainers think they're eating way too much, but don't really know for sure. And they've been told just eat more, more, more. And so they do. And they're like, I feel a little, I have people tell me I've been told I need to eat more. Meanwhile, they're a little nauseated and sleepy after their meals because they can't digest all that they're eating. It's just too much food. Meanwhile, also, they can't lose anything. And I'm not talking about the last 10 vanity pounds. For many of these people, we're talking, they seriously still have some weight to lose. I've worked with people who are still considerably obese and they've been told to eat more, 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 and they are eating a few pounds of meat per day in some cases. And sometimes that works. Honest to goodness, I know a man who was eating over 5,000 calories per day in my group, and he lost well over 160, it was 160 some pounds. I never once said to him, maybe you should eat less. Never. If somebody's eating 10,000 calories a day and the scale is doing what they want it to do and they feel good, I am thrilled. Don't ever eat less when it's working. But when it's not working and you are nauseated and you are lethargic and the scale's not dropping and you're still obese, then if you fall in the camp of Maggie at maintenance or Violet the volume eater, you might need to eat a little less and it will work. I can say that with a pretty high level of confidence because this is exactly what has happened in dieting and weight loss studies for decades. And also, I've just seen it work with myself and many other people. Many other people. So I'd say if what you're doing isn't working, maybe give that a go. All right, next up, the third and final woman that I will discuss today is Una, the undereater. And there are more Una undereaters in the carnivore space than there are for sure Maggie the maintainers, those rare little unicorns, and for sure more of the Una undereaters than there are Violet the volume eaters. So let's talk about it. Typically, the Una undereaters of the world are women who have dieted, and they've been told, if you want to lose weight, eat less, 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 move more. Eat less, move more. Eat less, move more, right? And they've done this for so long that every time they're not losing weight, the assumption is, oh, I'm eating too much. What is wrong with me? And they have convinced themselves that this amount of food that they eat, no matter how small, is too much food. They feel guilt-ridden with every meal. I hate that for them. I have lived it before, and it's misery. So then I ask Una to just give me a week of baselining. Tell me where you're at. You think you're eating so much, Una, but let's go ahead and get an accurate baseline. And Una's will come back and very often say, sometimes even less than 1,000 calories. But in this case, Una does her weekly average and she is getting 1,100 calories per day. Now, her fat percentage is lovely. She's sticking between 60 and 80%, which I feel great about that. If your carb manager doesn't show your percentages, tap the pie chart for me. That's it. 1,100 calories. So she comes over to Kelly Hogan's brilliant carnivore calculator. She puts in her statistics, exactly the same as the other two ladies, hits calculate, and she goes, okay, well, I don't know what that means. I don't want to maintain my weight. I want to lose weight. So to reach my ideal body weight, oh no, I need 1,400 calories. This is the point where most Unas say things to themselves like, I knew this wouldn't work for me. There's no way I could eat that much. Kelly doesn't know me. She doesn't understand my slow metabolism and how I've had people literally say, if I don't water fast, I gain weight. And they're water fasting every other day just to lose the weight that they gained on their eating day, when they were eating this sad little 1,100 calories. It is a thing. And if you talk to anyone who says someone who isn't losing weight and they are still have weight to lose, they are eating too much, that is hogwash in some cases. In the case of my Una, it just purely means she has trained her metabolism to be like that of a hibernating bear. She typically will have no energy. She can't sleep well. She's got no interest in that cute little husband of hers. She, honestly, every bodily function has just slowed. And so she'll say, I'm just wired at night and can't sleep. I'm tired all day and have no energy to go to the gym or take the walk. Wired and tired, wired and tired. They very frequently will have slow growing nails, slow growing hair, no libido, no energy. That is a very typical Una. And of course, Una, you're eating 1,100 calories and you're a grown woman. So when she sees this advice, very often they shut down, drop out of my group, and just assume this can't work for me. And I'm here to tell you, yes, it can, but it's going to be harder than it was for Maggie and Violet. Let's throw out the word harder. It's gonna take longer to get there. And you can choose to have it a very enjoyable process. It doesn't have to be, nail biting. It can be, okay, I'm going to take the next 6 weeks to nourish my body and train my body how to maintain at 1,700 calories so we can turn Una undereater into Maggie maintenance. And yes, that can happen. I have done it for myself and I've helped many other people do it too. So how do we do that? If in the past 2 weeks she has been eating, or past 20 years, she's been eating 1,100 calories, then I am simply going to ask her, are you okay with gaining 1 to 2 pounds in this process? Most people will say, I don't want to, but 1 to 2 pounds, nobody would notice. It's fine. I say, okay. Then let's take the brave approach and bump up, starting today, let's go up to 1,200 calories. And if Una steps on the scale every day, I'm just going to ask her to check in and make sure nothing bad happens. I could tell her, put away your scale. And for some people, they'll say, okay, I'm going to put away that scale. And others say, oh, no, I'm going to spiral out of control mentally if I add an extra 100 calories and I can't just check in to make sure that's going okay. So wherever you are on that, if you want to check in to see, yep, I have bumped up to 1,200 calories, nothing bad has happened. Still just bounces and ounces like I have done for the last 2 years, but no dramatic change noticed. Here's something interesting. When a carnivore starts to eat a little more, let me rephrase. When Una, the under-eating carnivore, starts to eat a little bit more, not carbs, not sugar, but a little more meat, sometimes Una's will start to see the scale finally drop. If not daily, for sure I see it every single week, where people say, what mysticism is this? I am eating a little more and I'm actually losing weight. Yes. Wonderful. That sometimes makes the Unas go, okay, great, I will bump up to 1,300. But I always tell them, don't go too quickly unless you're just feeling really secure and brave. Do it, whatever makes you feel comfortable. But a good guideline is bump up 100 calories, stay there for about a week until you see that nothing bad happens. And then the next week she would bump to 1,300. Stay there for about a week till she can see nothing bad happens. Sometimes something great happens. But I just want her to be able to confirm I have not gained 20 pounds doing this. When she has bumped up to 1,400 calories, that is when a lot of times Una, the undereaters, say, okay, I've done what I needed to do. If they've lost a little weight along the way, they're usually happy. But sometimes they've just purely maintained. She's still 148.2 pounds, but now let's say she's eating 1,400 calories. Let's go to the TDEE. Now, Una is very quick to point out to me, Kelly, I am eating what you said I should eat to lose weight and reach my ideal body weight. I am eating 1,400 calories. Why am I not continuing to lose weight? Well, let me walk you through this. This was a deficit for someone like Maggie, who was maintaining. This is a huge deficit for Violet, the volume eater. And this is not a deficit at all for Una, the undereater, who's been eating 1,100 calories. If she can maintain at 1,400, that is a total win, but her work is only halfway done. Keep going, Una. That's my advice. Keep going. So the following week, she is going to bump up to 1,500 calories. Stay there till nothing bad happens. If her weight goes up a little, just stay there longer. It'll stabilize. Like I said, you may gain a couple pounds in this process. Then bump up to 1,600. This is when Una starts sweating bullets. I just know something bad is going to happen. Keep checking in if you want on the scale, or if you don't weigh yourself, keep trying those clothes on. They're still going to be fitting just fine. You might even be losing. And then I want her to eventually, and if I've done the math right, hold on, carry the one. This is going to take about 6 weeks, right? To get her from 1,100 calories to 1,700 calories might take several, 6-ish weeks. But when she gets up to 1,700 calories, and now she is still able to maintain her weight, this is again when the angels sing, or at least Kelly Hogan sings. I am so pumped about that. And that's when she say, but I still haven't lost anything. Girl, you're where you were to start with, except now you're eating 600 calories more. And that's usually when I ask, are you at least feeling better? And typically my Unas will say, yes. I don't feel so sleepy. I do sleep better through the night. I have been taking some walks because I feel up to it. And my cute little husband is looking cuter. That's great. I will then ask Una, can you give me 2 weeks, at least 2 weeks at 1,700 calories while you're just maintaining? There's usually like a, because Una is a dieter and she wants to cut. They love the cut. Give me at least 2 weeks. But occasionally I'll get folks who say, are you kidding me? This is amazing. I am hungry. My appetite is returned. I love eating 1,700 calories. I love this energy. I love this man. I'm going to stay here a little longer. And the longer is actually better, because all it means is you're giving your body more time to get good and used to using up 1,700 calories, and you're not gaining. Give me as long as you want to. I'm thrilled. It's nothing but winning. Once Una feels like, okay, let's see the scale drop now, she is back to the place where Maggie, the maintainer, started this story. Una is now able to also maintain her weight at 1,700 calories. In fact, I should also point out that if she wanted to, she could bump that even higher. And if she were to do it slowly, I have known many, many women to get hundreds of calories more than their maintenance because they work their way up slowly, and they have still only gained 1 to 2 pounds. They're mostly just maintaining. That is the coolest thing ever. It takes some bravery. It takes some patience. And it's going to take some weeks to work your way up. But you can change your maintenance from 1,100 to 2,000. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I hear you. I've seen it too many times, so I'm going to argue with you. Yes, you can. So then once she works her way up to at least 1,700, if not higher, then she can either subtract 10 to 15% of her calories and start to see the scale drop. Or if mathematics aren't her thing, just take off 200 to 300 and she will start to see the scale drop. Now, once someone has been in their deficit off of maintenance for a while, so they were at maintenance or higher, and now they have cut 200 to 300 calories, you've lost, let's say they each lose 10 pounds doing that. At some point, that weight loss is going to slow and then plateau. The cut quit working. Panic. Life is over. Not at all. Okay? Not at all. Couple things. For one, they no longer weigh 148.2. They're 138.2. So if they were to recalculate, let's change it to their new weight, 138.2, if they hit recalculate, the calories drop a little bit. So if they want to, at that point, they could also drop just a little, because their weight, their body's smaller. It's going to need less fuel. Smaller people require less fuel. You wouldn't feed a 2-year-old the same amount as you would a 200-pound man. And then if they were to take that step, they will plateau at that as well. And the old dieters will say, well, time to drop lower, lower, lower. And next thing you know, Una is back to 1,100 calories, and now she's stuck again. But this time, instead of being stuck at 148, she's stuck at, say, 132. And that's much better, but she's, still saying, but I still wanted to lose, but now I'm down to 1,100 again. So what could we possibly do about this? Do it again. Work your way up slowly again. And she can also maintain herself at 132 as she slowly works herself back up to maintenance. So I don't always even suggest that they cut as they lose weight. Just take a pause, pretend you're still at 148.2 if you want. So let's say she got down to 1,400 calories. She's lost down to 130 something pounds. And she doesn't want to drop any lower than 1,400. And I don't blame her. Me neither. So then I would just bump to 1,500 next week, 16, 17, work yourself back up, maybe even higher again than 1,700. Stay there until your metabolism adjusts to that. Throughout this process, I'll tell you what would be a huge win every time you're increasing your calories is if you increase the amount of resistance training you are doing. So if you are doing none, start doing some resistance training in the form of weights or body weight. You start doing squats, push-ups. If you have a pull-up bar, I just got one in my basement. I've been working on my pull-ups. All of these things are going to work your muscles, or you can work them through things like walking up hills. Walking up hills is powerful. A couple weeks ago, I told you I had to hike the mountain to use the internet. Woo! Glutes on fire. My muscle mass just in that several days had started creeping up. It's back to where it was because I'm not doing it anymore. But anytime you are reverse dieting, increasing your calories slowly, if you can work your muscles progressively more than before, I say lift heavy, but as my girl Eileen online says, lift heavy, heavy for you. Make sure it's always heavy for you so that by the end, your muscles have legitimately had to work and strain. And it sends a signal, hey, we need more muscle. So that if you were to put on, say, 2 pounds or 5 pounds during this process, it's not just body fat, you're putting on muscle mass. Always an absolute total win because every pound of muscle is also going to increase your metabolism, your resting metabolic rate. Such a win. So then when you get up to your 1,700 again or 18 or 2,000 again and you do a cut, now it's going to be even easier because you've got more muscle on your body. Okay, I've already talked probably 20 minutes longer than I intended to. The list of things for this trip that needs to be done like right now is huge. So let's sum this up. If intuitive carnivore, just eat meat when you're hungry, stop when you're full, drink water when you're thirsty, don't drink when you're not, get some sleep, take some walks, have sunshine. Intuitive, no tracking required. If you haven't tried that, please do that. Not even for just a few days. Give that some solid time because it really might work. It very often does. When that doesn't, the next thing in my groups that I'm going to walk you through is, okay, that's baseline. Establish what you are currently doing right now so that you can then identify yourself as either a Maggie who's staying right about her maintenance while not gaining or losing, or as a Violet, a volume eater who's eating way more than her body really needs. And we can assess, are you gaining? Are you losing? Look at the results. Again, if you're losing, do not change a thing, little Violets out there. Keep eating that 3,000 calories. And you say, but I'm losing slowly. Good. That's how it's supposed to be. This isn't supposed to be fast. Slow is perfect. Keep doing that. And then if you do determine that you are an Una, you do have, you've got more work to do, but it doesn't mean it has to be unpleasant work. It's just going to take a little longer. I hope that helps clarify why some people will say TDEEs are useless. Well, in this case, my own personal, I so stand behind it. And by the way, on my TDEE, there are 12 pieces of advice down below on exactly how to make those adjustments, and I talk through it. So if, for example, you were an Una the undereater, then you would go to point number, I think it's 4, underneath on the advice, and it talks through for the undereaters exactly how to make these adjustments, how to look at your protein for the day, how to adjust your fat. All of that is down below. So as great of a tool as I think it is, and as proud as I am of it, I'm going to tell you that the advice there for calories would be completely wrong for anybody except for Maggie if they're just starting out. But now I have come on here to share that with you, and I feel much better. I just don't want anyone to fill out the calculator and say, oh, so that's how many calories I need, and then cut by 1,000 or increase by 500 and expect that you're going to get the same results as Maggie, the maintainers of the world, who are few and far between. Right? Thank you for coming. If you have personally been in my groups and have gotten some benefit out of it, and you don't mind saying below some things that have been helpful to you in your journey, I would truly appreciate that. And if you're still struggling but you could use some help, for heaven's sakes, reach out. And if you have honestly nothing good to comment in the comment section, you could just type the word hi Kelly, or hit the thumbs up. I would appreciate this video being seen by people who could maybe use it, especially those who are not even carnivore yet, who need to know that the simplest answer is to cut out the junk and replace it with truly nutrient-dense, healthy, beautiful foods. It's meat. Have a great day, y'all. Bye.